So what's the first song that's being released?
I don't even know how to answer that question. There's a song, Why Don't You Sleep, that is...
one of my favorites.
I released a video for a song called Poison
Another
a couple
one.
weeks ago. And
these are my two top favorites. How do they find you and your videos? Do you have a channel? The audience.
The audience.
Yeah.
EthanGold.com is my website, and it's currently, probably by the time people are hearing this, it'll be up and running. YouTube, I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/EthanGold. I think Google is our friend in this instance. You can type my name, and I hope
are you on Facebook?
I'm on
as
Facebook.
Well?
I think what is it? It's Ethan Gold. It's Facebook.com/EthanGoldMusic. I couldn't get Ethan Gold.
Oh, somebody else has that.
I have it as a person, because I had it as a person. I couldn't take it as a musician. I was like, and then there's no way to change. Yeah, if I knew someone at Facebook, I'm like, can we work on that? But anyway. So
yeah, I tried to do that too. To open up for a fan
you
website,
have to change the name.
and
it's fine. If somebody goes to Ethan Gold, they'll find me as a human, and my friends that you can eavesdrop, and it's the more personal.
So as far as the videos go, is that on YouTube?
The videos are on YouTube and on Vimeo also, where it tends to look and sound better, but it's a
on where?
Vimeo.
How do you spell that?
Vimeo. It's another video sharing site. I don't know. I think a lot of people who are more like film people do it, and YouTube is more of like a social environment. So YouTube is where most people end up, but I do put it on Vimeo also, because the things tend to look a little better and sound a little better, because YouTube compresses things in a way that is unfortunately fairly destructive to the look and sound. But they have this, kind of incredible social forum going on at the same time. What's
your plan for this year? Do you have a spot where you're going to start touring?
I'm playing around. I've been playing in LA, and I definitely want to be touring a lot. Kind of what I'm doing with the videos in a way is doing a world tour before I can afford one by uploading videos onto YouTube. So that's kind of the idea that's partly what, it's like, it's far cheaper for me to make videos using the creativity and resources and doggedness here than to stage a, tour around the world, because that costs a lot of money. A lot of people don't realize this with the decline of the music business. People say, oh, well, nobody buys records, but you can make money touring, and touring was generally always something that was, money was lost in order to push records. So it's a tough thing.
Well, now it's merchandise.
Merchandise is like the last stand of a business model in some ways. But so anyway, the videos for me, it's a way to tour the world by pressing buttons and sending things out. And I also enjoy the creative process of doing that. But I'll be touring this year. So
you took a lot of time and really thought it through very carefully. And I remember seeing your list of things that you were planning on doing before you put out the album, and it was very impressive, because I would say that what you're doing is pretty much what a record company used to do for an artist. You've got everything planned.
Yeah, I did, and then I ran out of time and just put the record and just released the record. I didn't get all those things. My ducks are not in a row, as they say. My ducks are currently running rampant over the field, and I'm trying to corral them. Meanwhile, the record is available in a couple places. It's not like a traditional big label, like big splash release. It's more like, okay, it's here, it's out in something. Some things are ready.
And I'm sure you'll have them when you're performing.
Oh yeah. I mean, the record is physically, it exists and is available on iTunes and Amazon. And depending when people watch this, it may be on my website also. And then from there, it'll, we hope to be available in more places. So worldwide. But
worldwide is
I have more
just a touch on the on
it's
the
true.
internet
I
now.
still believe in I put the physical. I like the tangible. I think the word is out. The vinyl's really
You think
great.
so?
Yeah. You know, it's kind of. I've heard last year that it was one of the only growth areas of the music business, like vinyl sales.
What do you think's happening in Europe with vinyl?
I think less, but I could be wrong. But I've heard that it's less. I mean, it's kind of a fetish thing here, but I don't know that it's happening as much in Europe. And I chalk that up to people who have smaller apartments over there.
The thing that is really cool that you're doing, and I see a lot of artists doing this, is that you're doing cover tunes, but your concept is so different. It's you in a closet with incredible mood lighting, and you're playing every instrument.
Yes, and to clarify, this is a separate thing from my album, but metaphorically it's connected to my album because this album was made all at home, played all the instruments on it. It's called Songs from a Toxic Apartment, and it's kind of the story of
Yeah, what
there's a
made
whole
that
story
apartment
of
so toxic?
Well, that apartment actually wasn't the toxic apartment. It's the cramped, shady neighborhood apartment, but the toxic apartment was the place I lived before that, which I was writing an opera there, a really kind of very black thing that I was attempting to manifest, and made, like, you know, I was making demos for this thing, and I became sick, and the place was
Did it have mold?
It had mold, and it had everything. It had a lot of really horrible things going on, which we don't need to. But
look, it helped you to launch an album. You would have never thought of it.
Well, what happened was I escaped from there, and then kind of picking up the wreckage, kind of figured out what the story really, or the story I wanted to tell was the story kind of my journey through trying to deal with my memory and family memory, and a lot of stuff I was attempting to work through with the opera there was another thing happening on the kind of personal level, and so that's what this record was an outgrowth of. And so I took a lot of those demos and reshaped them, and was recording sounds from the windows and around the house, and incorporated the sounds of the space I was in into the record. I mean, in a minor way. It's not an industrial record, but those things were put into it. So it's the whole thing is kind of an experience of going through. It's kind of whatever a lot of art does this, but it goes into the darkness, and I try to come out of it the other side. But it's definitely a bit of a journey record. So the cover songs that I started doing, just kind of, it was like a fun thing. I think it was a more relaxing project in a way of like, let me do some songs that I really love, and just play them, and set up a little camera in my closet, and I have this little colored light, and just doing a little experience of seeing what it's like to make songs. Although these ones I would do live, the cover songs I'm playing live and using technology to loop stuff, and so you're watching songs get made in front of you, and I'm covering songs from years ago and from now that I like, and giving back a little bit or something.
The interesting thing for me was, and I hope it's okay to say, that you brought in many, many, many takes, and we kind of went through it together and figured out which one did someone else feel is going to read better, because I think as artists, when we're doing our work, we're not always the best at saying, oh, this is the best performance, or that's the best performance. I mean, it's impossible to really look at yourself and to be able to really measure whether you're being effective when you're doing a piece of work. And I just, the thing that really makes my job so wonderful is having someone like you come in who is doing something totally different than anybody that I know, and to be able to kind of like peer inside and see the workings of it. And I just found it totally fascinating.
Right. Well, it's been nice to have someone be able to say, you know.
Take 25.
Yeah, it's a question of how crazy I want to come across, you know.
Or how authentic.
Yeah, I mean, some cases I want to put my heart out there, and some cases I don't, you know, like it's almost too much. And so, anyway, it was very helpful to be able to come to you and say, like, am I going too far here or not far enough, you know. So
You were, a couple of them were the mad scientists.
yeah, it was a little.
But
so,
they were cool too.
Yeah.
And we liked a lot of those.
Yeah, well, so anyway, if you're on YouTube, you can see wherever I'll be releasing different songs over the course of the spring, and some of them will be madder than others.
Definitely. Some of the song choices were pretty maddening.
Well,
But I liked it. I mean, it was cool.
song, you know,
It's what makes art.
yeah.
I want to thank you for coming by the studio. I really enjoyed listening to your story and what you had to say, and I hope to see you in another 6 months or so to see where the album has gone and the touring, and I'm sure everyone is going to be wanting to know what's going on. So thank you very much.
Thank you for
I
having me.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And this has been In the Studio at Angel Diva Studios. My name is Jan Linder-Koda.